Good morning. Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to the eighth inning stretch. I'm AJ. He's Carson. Carson, our favorite part of the baseball calendar is underway, and holy crap, is there a lot going on?
Oh yes, it is one of my favorite days in all of the sports calendars. Trade deadline day comes up on Tuesday, but my goodness, has there already been a lot of rearranging in the baseball world with a few big names already off the board.
Yeah, one of those big names went to my Seattle Mariners. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, lots has already gone. Lots has already happened. Lots more to come, I'm sure. As we get closer to, we've still got, a couple days here, so we will get you guys all updated and all caught up on all the craziness so far, and all the craziness yet to come. Real quick, happy Olympics to everybody who celebrates. How about that opening ceremony? That was something.
That was something else. But the memes that have come of it of
I know.
the Washington James crossing the River Thames is
Oh
hilarious.
God. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely something. So I don't know about you guys, but I love the Olympics. I love watching the Olympics. So my TV has been tuned to all that. Obviously, we wish nothing but the best and good luck to Team USA and all the athletes competing. Um, yeah. So, all right, let's do our poll results real quick because we have so much to talk about. We asked you guys who you thought was the AL Rookie of the Year so far. Coming out on top, Colton Cowser, the Orioles, Colton Cowser with 37% of the vote. From my Red Sox, Sedan Rafaela, 36%. Other 17%. We'll talk about that in a second. White Langford of the Rangers got 7%. And Carson, your boy, Luis Hill, only 3% of the vote.
Yeah, I can't say I figured it'd be a little more than 3%, but had a very rough end to the first half, and so a lot of people were kind of turned off, I think, to his cause.
Mm.
Um, Colton Cowser has certainly had an absolutely monster year. As the Red Sox fan amongst us, I'm sure you're loving seeing Sedan Rafaela getting this much love.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
I'm so curious as to who the 17% were thinking in terms of other, and Wyatt Langford. Hard to get noticed on a very interesting Texas Rangers team.
I know he's hurt, but when I saw the other, my first thought was Mason Miller.
Mm,
I know
he
I've
might be
seen
on the move
some.
too.
What's that?
He might be on the move at some point for this trade deadline too.
Didn't he?
The
Isn't
Athletics.
he on the? Isn't he on the IL? Thought I saw something about.
I thought I had seen that he was on the IL, but he might be back. Because when did? But anywho, yes, I believe he is on the IL. So maybe he doesn't move. I suppose.
Yeah. So the other. Who else have I seen Rookie of the Year talk about? I've seen uh Sedan Rafael is Red Sox teammate. I've seen Willie Abreu get some talk. Yeah, it's mostly been Cowser. Yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain. Uh, Heston Kjerstad maybe. Um, yeah, I'm 17% is a lot for other.
Yeah.
So I don't what we'd love to hear from you guys. Drop us a line at 8inningstretch@gmail.com or on 8inningpod.com/mailbag. And let us know who you cast these other votes for, because I think we'd both be really interested to find out. So if Carson, if you were casting a vote for AL Rookie of the Year, who's your pick?
I think right now I'd probably go with Colton Cowser with the majority. Just as having an absolutely phenomenal season
He
up there
is.
in Baltimore. And again, we've talked about it a lot last year with Adley Rutschman, but just goes to show how well Baltimore is developing these young guys like Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Colton Cowser. They are developing an absolute machine up in Baltimore. And no doubt in my mind that Jackson Holiday is going to be the next piece in that machine.
Yeah. Seriously though, for real, how about that? How about that Orioles farm system? They have just like what a turnaround. Um, they obviously, the Orioles had some, the Orioles had some lean years, recently, shall we say, and then, but apparently that was because they were building, they were building up their farm system and acquiring prospects and stockpiling all this talent, and now um we're seeing the results of that. Last year won 100 games, went to the playoffs for the first time in, geez, I think last year when the Orioles made the playoffs, it was the first time they made the playoffs in quite a while. And now this year, obviously one of the best records in the American League, and looking every bit as dangerous again. So I don't know, man. Like I was just that got me thinking about what which fan bases are, it might be this it might be the most exciting time to be an Orioles fan maybe ever.
Yeah, very possible. I mean, this team is on the rise and should be a contender in the American League for many years to come.
Yeah. And they play in the same division as my Red Sox. Great. Less than thrilled about that for obvious reasons. But anyways, thanks for everybody for voting in the poll. We'll have a new one up for you Monday, tomorrow, whatever, or maybe it's already up depending when you're listening to this. Yeah. So from the poll results to Carson, some sad news in the baseball worlds. Rachel Mania, wife of Yankees executive Omar Minaya. I don't know how else to, just died suddenly and unexpectedly here a few days ago, and just total shock. She was only 55. Just a total shock.
Yeah, I I'm just this was just like I'm almost I don't even know really what to say. Um as far as I know, and maybe AJ you've seen something, but as far as I know, they haven't figured out exactly
Mm-mm.
what the cause of death is yet. But
No, but they did rule out suicide.
okay, well that's something, I guess. But
Mm.
yeah, just absolutely devastating. From the articles and stuff I've read, there, the circumstances of the death aren't suspicious or anything like that. So,
Mm-mm.
so clearly, something must have happened, and I'm sure that as the investigation continues, there will be more that comes out. But yeah, absolutely heartbreaking. Obviously, all thoughts and prayers to the Mania family, to Rachel's extended family.
Mm.
This is just awful.
Yeah.
To suddenly lose somebody just like that. Just goes to show everybody always kind of says the old cliche of make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, but this is once again another harrowing example of how quickly life can be taken from you.
Yeah. Another example of, you know, yeah, make the most of it while you're here, because you just the fact is we just don't know. Um I'm sure, the Manaya family, Omar and their I'm just reading here that they have 2 adult sons. I'm sure none of them, you know, I mean, obviously none of them saw this coming. Um and obviously Omar, a huge part of the baseball community. He's been the senior advisor to Yankees GM Brian Cashman for about a year or so now. But before that, he was GM of the Mets. And before he was GM of the Mets, he was actually GM of he was the last general manager of the Montreal Expos before they moved to Washington. So, yeah. I was just looking at the article here. So the Yankees had a moment of silence before Monday's game. Yankees obviously released a statement. Yankees are devastated to learn of the passing of Rachel Manaya, the wife of Yankees baseball operations senior advisor Omar Manaya. To those closest to her, she was a loving and compassionate mother and wife, a huge supporter of her family and loved ones. Just sad, just really really friggin' sad. So obviously all the best to the Manaya family and friends and the Yankees community, because it sounds like she was a big part of that too. So really really sad stuff. Anyways, onto much lighter topics. Carson, so on our last episode, we were talking about the obviously we were talking about the Hall of Fame induction. It's since happened. You and I talked about it a little bit. We were kind of messaging back and forth about the speeches. All in all, another great weekend in Cooperstown, it looked like.
Yeah. Got a chance to as soon as we were done last week, I ran to the TV, plopped
Yep,
down,
me too.
and
Yep.
instantly turned it on. So was able to catch the whole thing. But man, just overall, what a phenomenal class.
Yeah, really was.
This was very stacked from top to bottom. I was very surprised that Joe went last, but considering how loud that place got and how many Twins fans traveled there, it was like, oh, okay, now it makes a lot of sense. But Jim Leland, I mean, my
What a
goodness,
speech.
what a speech!
Yep.
As we had kind of predicted that his speech was probably going to be the best speech, because it just seems like that dude's a master orator. I even posted something on the social media artist previously known as Twitter. Of it was the perfect speech. It had moments to make you laugh. It had moments to make you cry. It had a little bit of everything. But one of the things that you and I talked about specifically with, again, all of the speeches were great, but specifically with Jim's speech was you could see when he started talking about winning the WBC how much that meant to him.
Oh yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool moment. You could just tell. Because obviously he managed the 2017 Team USA for the WBC, who won the championship. That was a really cool moment, and also him talking about the fans and basically sort of just like showing appreciation and acknowledging basically acknowledges that the fans, which are the best part of baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about talking about the fans, what it's like to have a whole crowd, standing, and making noise at the bottom of the ninth with their team up by 1 run, and yeah, it was you could really see it was oh so obvious, and I think we all knew this, but you could really see what baseball has meant to Jim Leland and what the fans have meant to him over his career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, no matter where he traveled, and the amount of appreciation too that he showed for the coaches and on his staff,
and for and thanking all the players that have played for him in all the different organizations he managed, and shouting out the minor leaguers. That was really cool too.
yeah, which was absolutely incredible. I mean, it was a fantastic speech. All four of them had fantastic speeches.
Yeah,
But Jim's was, in my mind, far and away the best.
the best. Yeah, it really was. Yeah, that was just a really cool moment. Yeah, all around. I mean, everybody gave great speeches. Yeah, I was a little surprised that Joe went last, like you said. I kind of thought that they would have Jim Leland go last, sort of being the elder statesman. But yeah, it was a lot. Shout out to the state of Minnesota. There were so many Twins fans there.
Yeah, we
I mean, I'm not surprised.
oh yeah, we travel well, and especially when it's one of our own getting inducted, we travel well.
Yeah, really, I was really impressed by how many Twins fans were there to support Joe. Yeah, just an all around great ceremony. Obviously, we're looking forward to 2025. We talked about that on the last episode about some of the players who are presumably going to be on the ballot in 2025. And I just I think I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this on last week when we were talking about Cooperstown in the Hall of Fame. But I just kind of wanted to bring it up, sort of re-emphasize this, ladies and gentlemen. If you get the opportunity, to go to Cooperstown and to go to the Hall of Fame, please take it. It's a trip. It's a trip and an experience that every baseball fan should have. Obviously, the Hall of Fame is the Hall of Fame, and it's an incredible experience. It's there could not be a better tribute to the game of baseball and to its past and its heritage and its history. The folks that run the museum there in Cooperstown, they do a phenomenal job. And beyond that, Cooperstown itself, it's there in sort of upstate New York. It's in a absolutely it's a beautiful town in a beautiful part of the country. The people are nothing but friendly. Yeah, if you guys get the chance to do it, please do it. It's something else. Carson, I don't think I've ever asked you before. Have you had the chance to go to Cooperstown yet?
I have not, but it is very high on the bucket list.
I was gonna say, put that at the top of the bucket list. Yeah, no, it's really worth it. Getting there can be a little tricky. It's kind of I wouldn't say the middle of nowhere, but it's so no matter how you get there, you've got to do some driving, but it's 10 out of 10 worth it. So all right, from baseball's past to its present. Speaking of my Red Sox, Carson, when this news broke, I was so excited. And this was even before, all the stuff from the deadline started breaking. The Red Sox front office did something right for once, and they inked manager Alex Cora to a 3-year extension. Finally.
Yeah. This was something that I think all Red Sox fans were kind of waiting on, hoping that it would get done. No doubt about it. Alex Cora's been a solid manager for the Red Sox. Aside from the year that he had to step away because of the whole incident, and then they immediately fired whoever the replacement was and brought him back. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's a good deal. Alex Cora's been kind of been slowly but surely kind of trying to help get the Red Sox back to the spot where they need to be. And he's been seems like a good players manager, which is something that I think every player in the MLB would want to play for. So congratulations to Alex Cora and to Red Sox fans everywhere who I'm sure as this news broke, we're popping some champagne and tossing some tea into the harbor.
Oh, God. You just couldn't help yourself, could you?
I really could.
Yeah. No, seriously though. I feel like all season, even dating back to spring training, all I've heard is talk and speculation about, this is Alex Cora's last year, and he's going to be a free agent this winter essentially, and is he gonna pull a Craig Counsell and leave like Craig Counsell left the Brewers and went to the Cubs? Is he gonna do what Craig Counsell did and go elsewhere? Not that he probably wouldn't go to a division rival like Counsell did, because I don't think there's not going to be any openings probably in the AL East as far as managers go. But no, I feel like that's all I've heard all season. Every time I watch a Red Sox game, this is Cora's last year of his contract, blah, 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 blah. And now finally the Red Sox put that to rest. He's now signed. He's going to be the Red Sox manager at least through the 2027 season. $7 million a season, which makes him, I believe, the second highest paid manager in baseball, behind Craig Counsell. And he deserves every penny. Carson, I don't think Alex Cora gets a lot of attention and a lot of, I don't think Alex Cora is talked about a lot outside of Boston. But bias aside, this dude is straight up one of the best managers in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a master tactician. He knows exactly what he wants his teams to do, and make sure that they go out and execute.
And he's not afraid to push buttons. The other night, it's a perfect example. The other night, he pinch hits for Tyler O'Neill, which every non-Red Sox fans everywhere watching that game against the Yankees and going, what is this dude doing? How could you pinch hit Tyler O'Neill for Masataka Yoshida? And Yoshida goes out and comes up with a clutch hit. The thing you mentioned that he's a great players manager. I don't think I've ever heard any of his players have a bad thing to say about him, which is rare these days. But honestly, I think the thing I like the most about Alex Cora is even when he decides to make a strategic move, even if it doesn't work out, he owns it. You will never see this man. He'll never blame his players. If he makes a move and it doesn't work out, he always owns it.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. You will never see him try to pass the buck.
Nope, not once. He's never done it. Which again, is rare when it comes to managers and coaches in sports. Yeah, no, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that the Red Sox finally got this done. Because I got to be honest, having Alex Cora at the helm with this young, ridiculously talented core, players like Devers and Rafaela and all the others, having Alex Cora at the helm with this ridiculously talented young core that the Red Sox have in place, I we're sitting pretty. This is so exciting to have who I would consider, again, bias aside, maybe the best manager in all of baseball with this talented young core. Talk about getting ready to throw some tea into the haba.
Yeah, no kidding.
There, are you all happy? You got the Boston accent.
I'm happy.
You got me to do it. See, now listen to me. Now my Bostonian's coming out. Yeah. So anyways, that's obviously great news for the Red Sox. The timing was a little weird because it came right before the Red Sox absolutely got obliterated by the Rockies. No, I don't want to talk about that. And right before the benches clearing incident. Oh, by the way, Cal Quantrill, yeah. Fuck you, dude. Yeah. Really? Yeah. The less said about that situation, the better, because I'll go off on a tirade. But anyways, Alex Cora, contract extension, good news. Which sort of leads us into all the craziness with the trades here. The Red Sox have made a couple moves. No big splash yet, but I gotta say, I'm so excited. I was so excited to find out that James Paxton's coming back to the Red Sox. James Paxton, aka the Big Maple. Is it fair to say that he's one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball? Because I feel like he is.
The Mariners version of him, I would say yes. Absolutely.
But I mean, he pitched his ass off against the Red Sox in that last game against the Dodgers. I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah. I mean, the longevity of his career has been
pretty impressive. Yeah. He's what, like 36?
Something like that, yeah.
36, 37, which is not old, but in baseball terms, especially for a pitcher, that's old.
In baseball terms, get that man a cane.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, for real. No, I'm wicked excited to have James Paxton back in the fold. Big fan. The Red Sox went out and made the Carson, you and I were talking about it, the Danny Jansen, the catcher from the Blue Jays. Sort of, that's an interesting move. I like it. Danny Jansen, folks, if you don't know, Danny Jansen's got some pop in that bat.
Yes, he does. He's a very good power hitter. We were kind of talking about this a little bit where, now the Red Sox have 3 solid catchers, but you had brought up the idea of maybe moving Connor Wong to potentially first base to make that work. But we shall see what their plan is.
Although I just remembered, I mean, Connor Wong can play first base, but some dude named Casas is going to be coming back soon. He's a pretty okay first baseman.
Yeah, at least from what I've heard, I think he's pretty good.
My God, are you? I'm sorry. I just have to put that. I know the deadline is still, and I know they've definitely still got needs to fill. But when Tristan Casas comes back, holy crap. I'm so excited to see Tristan Casas back on the field. I don't know, man. call it my bias, but I've got a good feeling. I've got a good feeling about my Red Sox. They seem to be in a really good place. And I just feel like they're in a much better place than probably any of us expected. And honestly, with all the injuries they've had all year and all the adversity they faced, I mean, it would have been so easy for them to just pack it in. At one point, I think it was in May or June, they were 14 games behind the Yankees. And now they're right in the thick of this thing. Again, obviously the players get their fair share of credit, but again, a huge share of that credit goes to Alex Cora.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think they're in the position they're in with any other manager. So, anyways, that's enough gushing about my Red Sox. Other trades that have gone down. Geez, Carson, I'm struggling to think of. Have the Seattle Mariners, have they done anything yet?
Indeed they have, but actually, as we kind of get into the trades, speaking of one of the teams that the Mariners have dealt with, AJ, we've got some breaking trade news.
Do we?
We do indeed. So
Love it.
the Tampa Bay Rays have agreed to a trade with the San Diego Padres that will send reliever Jason Adam to the Padres, who currently has a 2.49 ERA this season, has kind of been the setup guy to Pete Fairbanks down there in Tampa. In exchange, the Tampa Bay Rays, and honestly, I think this was an absolute fleecing by the Rays, got 3 top 15 ranked prospects in the Padres organization. The number 3 prospect, Dylan Lesko, the Padres number 8 prospect, Homer Bush Jr., and the Padres number 12 ranked prospect, J.D. Gonzalez.
That is quite a package. Wow. So I think it's safe to say that the Rays are officially announcing that they're in rebuild mode.
I definitely think they're selling. And
yeah,
that trade especially is huge to help them rebuild that farm system.
Yeah. I mean, the Rays seem to be in sell mode, which, that's a bold statement when you're about to build a new multi-billion-dollar stadium. That's a bold strategy. I don't know. I guess they just looked at their situation and thought, okay, this team's not, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. But they're definitely in sell mode, including I mean, we've still got a little ways to go, but this might turn out to be the most shocking, unexpected trade of the deadline. Because Carson, we talked about it a while ago where we said, I think it was either a mailbag question or it was a buy or sell. I don't remember which. That Randy Arozarena would no longer be a Tampa Bay Ray after the deadline. And we both said, no way the Rays trade Randy Arozarena. But ladies and gentlemen, they did. And not only did they trade Randy Arozarena, they traded him to my Seattle Mariners. Let's freaking go.
Yeah, to paraphrase the legendary DJ Khaled, congratulations, we played us. My goodness, did this seemingly come out of nowhere, dropped in the late hours of the night.
It did, yeah. It happened pretty late, yeah.
The conspiracy theorist in me feels like there was a strategy there so that people wouldn't riot in the streets of Tampa Bay. But yeah, we talked about it at length. We've talked about it at length with the Mariners. They needed to add some pop into that lineup. They needed to add some offense. Granted, Randy Arozarena has certainly had his own struggles this season in Tampa Bay getting his offense going, but this is exactly what they needed. I think this was a great trade for both sides. Tampa Bay very clearly sends a message that, this core is not going to get it done. In a very interesting trade market in general, where we've talked about at length again of, how many teams are so close in the wild card race that you could really flip a coin and determine who could potentially be in those wild card spots at this point in the season. It's very much a trade deadline of you don't really know what teams are going to be doing. And by that, I think the Rays, especially with this move, with this Jason Adam move, have gone out and said, you know what? This is a trade deadline where nobody really knows what teams are going to be doing. There are going to be buying teams that will probably be chomping at the bit to get some players. Let's just sell. Let's rebuild this farm system. That's exactly what they've done. For the Mariners, my goodness, a outfield of Julio Rodriguez and Randy Arozarena just makes me smile.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this is the fresh start that Randy Arozarena needs as well. But yeah, to be able to add him into that lineup is going to be huge for a Mariners team that has been struggling to find that offense so far. And I would officially like to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the new vice president of the Randy Arozarena fan club.
Yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I mean, I just like we said, this news dropped late at night. It was late. It was like 11:30 at night, maybe later. Here I am, just minding my own business, getting ready to go to bed for the night, and I see this thing pop up on my phone. Well, first I saw that they were where is it? I don't see it here on my timeline, but first I saw the usual, sources, blah, 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 Mariners are in discussion with the Rays about Randy Arozarena. I was like, yeah, because I mean, usually with those things, you can't get your hopes up. And a lot of times they don't pan out. I mean, hello, Aaron Judge to the San Francisco Giants. But or Shohei Ohtani supposedly being on a flight to Toronto, last winter. But no, then it broke, and wow, I still don't believe it. Yeah, I mean the Mariners did. I mean the Mariners offense. Man, we've been talking about it all year. We've been talking about it for the last 3 years. This Mariners offense, they just can't seem to get it going, and they can't seem to be consistent. And then you go out and get Randy Arozarena, one of the best hitters in baseball, one of the best outfielders in baseball. They've still got moves they need to make. They still need. I still think, Carson, I still think the Mariners need another bat. Vladdy. Maybe Luis Robert, maybe. They still need another bat, but Randy Arozarena, and then they upped the stakes and they went and got a bullpen arm. They went and got Yimi Garcia from the Blue Jays. So far, so good.
Yeah, so far, very, very impressive moves made by the Mariners, and like you said, I don't think they're done. I think they're going to go out. I don't know who it's going to be, but I think they're going to go out and get somebody.
Yeah, I still think they need another bat.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Randy's a big help. Don't get me wrong. But
oh yeah, absolutely. And he already got his played his first game for them last night in Chicago and got his first hit. So he's off to a good start. But I think obviously Randy Arozarena, what he brings, as far as tangibles go, is, I mean, yeah, like that's obvious. But since the trade was announced, and I know they're playing the White Sox, but since the trade was announced, they've won both games. They're scoring runs. Jorge Polanco has apparently risen from the dead. But the biggest thing, the thing I've probably seen talked about the most about Randy Arozarena, this dude is a like model teammate. and great clubhouse guy. I mean, he even went to the after he got traded to Seattle, he was at the Rays game to say goodbye to the fans. I don't think I've ever seen a player do that.
Yeah, that I
was so cool.
I literally just saw that video not even 5 seconds ago, but
yeah, really cool.
And just watching it, like, wow, that's amazing to see that. And he watched watched a little bit of the game, left without really having a big moment, but was high-fiving fans on his way out. And just the amount of respect that I have for that is like as if I wasn't already the president of his fan club. My respect for him has rose even more.
Yeah, for real though. Yeah, so that's obviously a big move. But believe it or not, as much as we're talking about Randy Arozarena and the Seattle Mariners, there have been other moves made. Carson, we talked about before we came on, we talked about the Orioles went out and got Zach Eflin, also from the Rays. That addresses a huge need because did the Orioles ever need a starting pitcher? And maybe in a slightly underrated move, they also went out and got Sir Anthony Dominguez to add to that bullpen. And that might end up being a bigger impact move than even Zach Eflin.
Yeah, absolutely huge move. I think one of the things that the Orioles needed to do was just bolster that bullpen just a little bit more. And the Orioles said, "Hold my beer. We're going to go get Sir Anthony Dominguez, who immediately creates a devastating 1-2 punch with him and Yennier Cano out there in Baltimore." I like this trade from the Phillies' point of view too, acquiring Austin Hayes in the deal. A solid outfielder who can come up with a clutch hit when you need him to. So one of the things that we had kind of talked about with the Phillies is that they don't necessarily need to go out and get the big guy, but just add a few depth pieces here and there. And Austin Hayes certainly does that. Now, do I think it was wise of them to necessarily trade Sir Anthony Dominguez? I don't know about that. I think he still could have been a huge help to their bullpen, but sometimes that's what it costs to go out and get somebody in the trade deadline market.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to give up. But I mean, the Phillies might have been the team that are going into the deadline that were in the best shape. Because I mean, they've just been so good all year. And I don't think we're gonna see the Phillies make any big splashes. And they don't really need to. We had the Marlins, who were obviously in sell mode. They shipped AJ Puck to the D-backs. That's a big move for the D-backs, especially they're getting reinforcements. Jordan Montgomery, Eduardo Rodriguez, gonna be back here soon. And the Diamondbacks, Carson, have been scorching red hot.
Yeah, and the big thing too with that one is that AJ Puck's still got a couple of years of team control. So this isn't a trade for a rental, because for the Diamondbacks, quite frankly, that just wouldn't make sense, I don't think, right now. This is a trade to put somebody into their bullpen as a crucial part of their bullpen. And from everything I've been reading, De Los Santos, one of the prospects that they gave up, is very much a wild card. He could be something. He could be. There's a little bit of inconsistencies there from what I've seen in the reporting. He could have a monster career. He could not really turn out to be anything. So, very interesting trade to watch from both sides on this one.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the thing about AJ Puck being under team control for another couple of years, because that was the other part of the Arozarena trade. Randy is under club control, I think, for another 3 years. So I I mean, that's just such a just such a genius move. Not just going out and getting somebody as a rental. Yeah, and don't look now, ladies and gentlemen. But the Diamondbacks have won they've won 4 in a row, 7 of their last 10. And they're only 6.5 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West. And only half a game, I think, out of a wild card spot. So I don't know, man. They've struggled all year, but it seems like the D-backs are starting to put the pieces together, and we all know what happened when they did that last year.
Yes, we do. So we'll see if this leads to the same type of thing. But
there's still room on the D-backs bandwagon, everybody. So we had AJ Puck to the D-backs. We talked about Yimi Garcia going to the Mariners. By the way, Yimi Garcia made his first appearance for the Mariners last night and threw a 1-2-3 7th inning. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, the Mariners shipped reliever Ryan Stanek to the Mets. Kind of an interesting move. Seemed more like a, okay, like we know we're getting Yimi Garcia, so basically a 1-for-1 swap there. Carlos Estevez to the Phillies, Danny Jansen to the Red Sox, we talked about. Jesse Winker to the Mets. And then oh my god. Yankees fans. I haven't seen any reaction from Yankees fans yet, but I can't. So Jazz Chisholm Jr. to the Yankees. Yeah. I don't know what the Yankees are thinking. I mean, no disrespect to Jazz Chisholm, but with the history of the the clubhouse issues and the issues with teammates, Jazz Chisholm seems like the complete opposite of a New York Yankee.
Yeah, this one was certainly interesting. There were I had seen various reports of the Yankees had concerns about Jazz Chisholm's personality and how that would fit into their clubhouse, but apparently the Yankees said, forget it, we're just going to trade for him anyway. Overall, though, I think this move could be the best thing to happen to Jazz Chisholm's career. I think he needed to get out of Miami, just kind of get out of obviously, like let's call a spade here. Obviously, this year Miami sucks. Okay, like
yes,
they're bad. Like they traded Luis Arraez like very quickly. Once they kind of realized they suck. So I think he just needed to get out of that environment in general. And maybe a move like this to the Yankees, because I think a lot of kind of the headlines of Jazz Chisholm have kind of been, he's got that swagger, which is a good thing to have, but where does that swagger the line into immaturity? And I think that is if there is one thing that the New York Yankees are known for. Like you will go in there and come out wearing a suit and saying please and thank you at every meal and holding the door open for people. That is what the Yankees do. They churn out baseball machines and they churn out just well spoken, not necessarily not necessarily the immature swaggy. Swaggy types, unless you were the 1990 New York Yankees. But that's a story for today.
No swag allowed. Yeah, no swagger allowed at the New York Yankees. I just maybe going to the Yankees and maybe going to the Yankees and becoming a stormtrooper will be a good thing for Jazz Chisholm Jr. I mean, there's no Carson, I don't think there's any denying his talent.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I mean, we've all heard the stories. We've heard his teammates, in Miami talk about, some of the issues. So who knows? Maybe going to the Yankees is exactly what he needs. But that's just a weird, um, just a weird move. Just a unexpected, I guess. Um, and honestly, I'm not really sure how much he can help the Yankees. Um, yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one to watch for sure. To see how that plays out. All right. I think that's all the moves that have happened to this point. I think we covered everything. Obviously there's still 48-ish hours. Let's see here. Let's just make sure we didn't miss anything. AJ back to the Diamondbacks, Arena, James Paxton, Hayes, Eflin. Oh, okay. Speaking of unexpected, apparently, the Cubs went out and traded for Nate Pearson. Okay,
Yes, yeah. Again,
that's an
a move.
interesting move.
Yeah, a move that I think Nate Pearson just needed a fresh start. He needed out of Toronto. This is a guy who was a former first round pick, a very highly touted prospect at one time in the Blue Jays farm system. I had also seen some quotes of he was hoping to maybe get back to a starter role one day because he had been kind of relinquished to the Blue Jays bullpen. So who knows? Maybe this gives him that chance, or at the very least, he'll be able to maybe be like a long reliever type where he'll be able to get a little bit more innings in and maybe work his way back to being a starter.
Yeah, I don't. This doesn't. This. I don't think this signals in any way a change of heart. I mean, the Cubs are. I mean, I wouldn't say they're not officially dead in the water, but they're getting there. In terms of making the playoffs, they're yeah. This feels like a move, with an eye to the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think this moves the needle for the Cubs at all this year. But yeah. Yep, Chisholm to the Yankees. Looks like the Rockies and Brewers made a deal. The Brewers made a deal for Nick Mears to bolster their pitching staff. Carlos Estevez from the Angels to the Phillies, we mentioned. Well, there you go. That Estevez move, because Estevez is a reliever, and where they traded Sir Anthony Dominguez, that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I completely forgot that they had gotten Carlos Estevez from the Angels. That's a solid move.
That's a nice move. Yeah, I mean, Estevez was one of the best relievers. I think that was on the market.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice move for the Phillies. Not that Sir Anthony Dominguez was. I mean, Sir Anthony Dominguez is a hell of a relief pitcher, but I think that's a little bit of an upgrade there. Yeah, so that's okay. We are now officially caught up on everything that's happened. Although between now and the end of the show, who knows? I'm sitting here refreshing my Twitter feed, waiting to see if any other news drops. So far nothing, but we'll keep an eye on that for you guys. Carson, obviously, with the trade deadline, always comes the trade rumors. Some of the stuff floating around. We've seen the Mariners linked to players like Ryan Mountcastle. So we've got these. But I've got an even better. Let's see, where is just found this really good article from The Athletic of all places. So we've been talking pretty much all year about how with the third wild card spot, how more teams are in playoff races, later into the season. 24 of 30 teams in Major League Baseball entered today, Sunday, within 6.5 games or less of making the playoffs. With only the Blue Jays, Angels, A's, and White Sox basically out of it in the American League, and only the Marlins and the Rockies out of it in the National League. That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
24 out of 30 teams within 6.5 games or less. Folks, that doesn't happen in any other sport.
No.
It just doesn't. So, yay, baseball. Yeah, Tuesday. So Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Is the cutoff for the trade deadline. So yeah, there's sure to be a lot between now and then. So some of the big stories, obviously Luis Rivera Jr. still probably available. Interesting situation developing with Garrett Crochet, Carson. Because Garrett Crochet basically came out and said if he's going to be traded, he wants an extension. I don't know, man. Like that might just take him off the market. That, to me, if I'm a general manager and I'm, and I've got starting pitcher on my shopping list, I don't know. I might look at that and go, that might make me hesitate.
That, like, why would he say that? That's so dumb.
Dumb. Yeah.
Like, isn't he under team control anyway for like another 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, well, here's the desire for extension.
Yeah, I'm looking at an ESPN article. Let's see. Crochet wants a contract extension if he's traded in order to pitch in the postseason this year. Crochet is also making it known he has no desires to pitch out of the bullpen, citing health concerns for all of the above requests.
Dude, you've been in the league for about 5 minutes. You don't get to make these kind of demands. Who does this guy think he is?
Yeah, okay. So he still has 2 years of team control before he becomes a free agent. But
why is he even thinking about extension? You still got 2 years, dude.
Garrett, buddy, just sit down. Let's talk for a minute. You do realize that you have no leverage here, right? You play on one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And by the way,
dumb?
Yeah, I mean, you're 25. You've already underwent Tommy John surgery. Oh, by the way, in 2022. Yeah, like, who does this? I don't know who he thinks he is.
Look, I get that you want some. I would get wanting some security if you were going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
But you're not.
That is the key part of this for me. There is still 2 years of team control on your current contract. This is not football, sir. You do not get to sign an outlandish extension when you're still 3 years down the road from being a free agent. You want to do that, go sign for the Chicago Bears. See how that works out.
Right.
But, my goodness. You like AJ said, he gets Tommy John in 2022. He only He only plays in 13 games last season. This is
Yep.
his first year as a starter, by the way.
Yep.
First year as a starter, and he's talking about, oh, I don't want to go to the bullpen. Dude, that's where you were. What are we doing here?
Yeah. He's acting like he's acting like he's freaking Pedro Martinez over here.
It's
yeah.
like, I can't believe I'm about to make this comparison, but it's like the SpongeBob episode where he stars in a commercial at like 2:00 in the morning and then walks around thinking that he's God's gift to the acting world. Like, what are we doing here? You've been in the bullpen for 3 years. Congratulations. You had a breakout season in your first year as a starter. You made the All-Star team. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You are not Pedro Martinez. You aren't even Blake Snell. Who are you to be making these demands when you play for one of the worst teams statistically in MLB history? Where, oh my God, I just,
If
I don't understand. If I'm the White Sox, I'm pissed off right now because you easily have probably the name that everybody's like, oh my goodness, you're going to be able to get a haul for this guy, and then he goes out and says this crap. Like, what are we doing here?
They're not going to get a haul for him now.
No, they're going to have to sell him for a bag of circus peanuts and a bag of Bacon Ranch sunflower seeds.
They're going to trade him for what's
God.
What's that old expression? They're going to trade him for a bag of baseballs.
Yeah, trade him for a bag of chips, more like it.
Yeah, right.
Because the bag of chips is full of as much hot air as he is.
Yeah, I saw this and I went, oh no. Like, you just know when somebody says something so incredibly stupid.
And again, because I feel like we have to clarify. In no way are we saying that Garrett Crochet is not worth an extension. He is a very talented pitcher. But I think AJ, I can speak for both of us here. Our main problem here is twofold. Number one, you still have 2 years of team control on your current contract. Yep. And two, this is your first year as a starter after being in the bullpen your entire career, coming off Tommy John.
Yep. And three, you're 25 and have been a starter for exactly 1 year. And I honestly, I think the biggest issue I have with it is, why are you talking about this before, like, when you know you are one of the names being floated in the trade talks, in trade rumors? Yeah, dude, you just tanked your trade value, and I don't know. I don't know if I would go as far to say that he's not going to get traded, but this is going to, any general manager out there looking for starting pitching right now is going to look at this and go, maybe we'll go in another direction.
Yeah, just unbelievable.
I mean, if he had just kept his mouth shut, he could have gotten himself a really sweet deal and probably ended up on a contending team. And now who knows? In fact, I'm just looking at this right now. Ken Rosenthal reported that certain teams, who obviously remained anonymous for obvious reasons, certain teams are now reluctant to move forward on a trade for Crochet. Well, surprise, surprise. Color, let me put on my shocked face.
Yeah, it's the one meme of pretends to be shocked. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Of course they are. Like, I'd be hesitant as another GM. Like, why would I give this dude an extension off of, like, it's like what the Packers just did. They gave Jordan Love a crap ton of money for 1 year of work.
Yep, exactly.
1 year. And they gave him over $200 million.
Ridiculous. Yeah, maybe Garrett Crochet would be better off playing in the NFL, where they just throw money around without any regard for anything. Yeah, so obviously Garrett Crochet, Luis Robert Jr., the other big name that's been floated from the White Sox. So we're just kind of playing wait and see on that. and see who if anyone steps up and makes a deal for Luis Rivera Jr. Here's a radical idea. Now that Garrett Crochet has completely tanked his trade value, maybe we see a team swing a package deal for Robert and Crochet.
I mean, it's possible. At this point, it would have to be a team that would be comfortable making a contract for Crochet now.
True.
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I still wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers were in on him. I mean, a package deal for those two would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. I guess that would be a lot. I don't know. I was just thinking now that Garrett Crochet has basically put himself, he's put himself in the $5 movie bin at Walmart. So,
oh man,
I don't even know if that's still a thing. I don't really go to Walmart.
It's still a thing, and that is an elite reference, sir. Well done. That is an elite reference.
Thank you. I was gonna say bargain bin, but then I was like, oh wait, $5 movie bin at Walmart.
Well, heck, even better than that, he's in like the $1 movie theater candy or local grocery stores.
He's put himself on the shelf at Dollar Tree.
Oh. Well, and the other thing too about this whole Garrett Crochet business is, as his market dwindles, you got to wonder what this means potentially for the market of like an Eric Fetty, his teammate, or like a Blake Snell, or I know that all the reports are that he's not going anywhere, but maybe this starts to draw some teams to a certain Tarek Skubal out there in Detroit.
Nah, no way. Skubal's not going anywhere. The Tigers.
I'm not saying that I think he will go anywhere, but I'm just saying that the kind of ripple effect could increase what teams are willing to offer on the market.
So your thinking is that because Crochet has open mouth and inserted foot, that teams might, rather than calling the White Sox about him, they might start calling the Tigers about Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, and again, the Tigers have already basically said that unless it's straight out of The Godfather in an offer that they can't refuse, like he's not going anywhere. But
no,
with this whole Garrett Crochet business, it just makes me wonder where if some other teams might be sniffing around, seeing if they can potentially put something together for.
Yeah, I mean, any team trying to go get Tarek Skubal would have to give up a king's ransom. So, I mean, somebody might make an offer to turn the Tigers' head, but the Tigers, if you're listening, you would be trading Tarek Skubal would be the biggest mistake of this trade deadline.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And one of the biggest mistakes in the history of your franchise. Like, that would be... I'm sorry, I can't resist. That would be Trump level stupid. Okay, let's put it in those terms so that everyone understands how stupid the Tigers would be to trade Tarek Skubal. It would be Trump level stupid. And ladies and gentlemen, that's stupid. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Yeah, so Tarek Skubal, Blake Snell, another name to be floated. I don't know though, Carson. Blake Snell just went out and threw one of the best games he's thrown in a long time. And the Giants are one of those teams that they're right there on the brink of things. I don't see Snell going anywhere either.
Yeah, I don't know. It's still very. I think it's still very possible. I mean, there have been reports that teams are at least checking in and kind of seeing what the Giants are thinking as far as he goes. But yeah, I agree. I don't see him going anywhere. It sounds like teams are kind of scared away because odds are he's probably going to end up opting out after the season, as he does have a player option.
Yeah, that's true.
At the end of the season on his wildly, horribly negotiated contract. Shout out to Scott Boras. But yeah, so I understand why teams would be a little wary of trading for him right now.
I think all three of these guys, Crochet, Scoogle, and Snell, I think they stay put. I mean, the Giants are only 4.5 games, out of a wild card spot. So, they're right there in the thick of things. The Tigers are 5.5 games out of a wild card spot in the American League. This expanded wild card thing. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that this has completely changed. It's completely changed the way teams approach the trade deadline. Like, irrevocably changed it. Because 3 wildcard spots. Look, we were just talking about it. 24 out of the 30 teams in Major League Baseball are within 6.5 games or less of a playoff spot with basically 2 months to go. It's nuts. Other things that are floating around out there. We talked about the Carlos Estevez trade. Another big reliever whose name is being floated, and since the Marlins are in full on sell mode, Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott is his name is floating around. Sounds like the Orioles, the Yankees, the Dodgers have all been in contact with the Marlins about Scott. I just saw this morning that apparently my Red Sox are also in that conversation, which, yes, please. Tanner Scott in the Red Sox bullpen, yes. Tanner Scott could be a really good pickup for somebody. Let's see what else we got going on. We talked about the Yankees and Jazz Chisholm Jr. The Yankees. So the Yankees got Jazz Chisholm Jr., which is, it is what it is. We sort of picked that move apart. I think if you're the Yankees, the other thing you've got to be looking for, Carson, they've got to get some bullpen help. Have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Tanner Scott, I think certainly, like you said, is certainly a name to kind of keep an eye out for.
Please no.
I think also
do not let the Yankees get Tanner Scott, please.
I think one name too that is vastly underrated and that could be that somebody needs to go get. Somebody needs to call the Nationals about Kyle Finnegan.
Yep.
Because he is incredible. Now, granted, the reports are that what the Nationals are asking for Kyle Finnegan is quite crazy. They're asking for a little bit more even than what the Angels got for Carlos Estevez. But yeah, I think somebody definitely needs to go get him because he could be a huge piece to somebody's bullpen. He's under control through the 2025 season. So the Nationals may decide to hang on to him, which I think would be stupid. But yeah, that's another reliever that certainly I think needs to be on people's radar.
Yeah, for sure. Are there big names that are still it doesn't sound like the Blue Jays are we've been talking about Vladdy and Bo Bichette. Well, I mean, Bichette's currently on the injured list, so that kind of takes him out of the. But it doesn't sound like the Blue Jays are, at least right now, it doesn't sound like the Blue Jays are open to moving Vladdy. Although, I mean, Vladdy's going to be a free agent after next season. So, and they haven't made any progress on an extension. I don't know, man. I think if you Blue Jays, I think you've got to seriously consider offers for Vladdy, because if he walks away after next year in free agency, you will get positively squat in return for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, I would love to see the Mariners swing a deal for Vladdy. Holy crap. Let's see. What else have we? There's just so much. Got the Cubs. Let's see. Talked about the Cubs. The Rays are apparently in full sell mode. Here's a name I haven't heard a lot about. Pete Fairbanks.
Yeah, that's another name that I thought the Rays would for sure be moving, especially considering I think they've pretty much made it clear that they are open for business. So I would not be surprised at all if Pete Fairbanks got moved.
Considering they've already, according to this, they've already shaved about $30 million off their next year's payroll. Pete Fairbanks, Yandy Diaz is a name I expect to hear. I think we're going to be hearing here in the next couple days, and Isaac Paredes too. Apparently the Rays are just in full on, yes, the Rays are open for business. There's so much. Kind of talked about the Dodgers. Talked about the D-backs. The Mets in an interesting situation. So I think it was yesterday it came out that Kodai Senga is going to miss the rest of the regular season, at least with a calf strain. If you're the Mets, do you try and go out to get one of these starters? Another starter we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about Jack Flaherty of the Tigers, although I think if you're not going to trade Tarek Scuba, you're probably not going to trade Jack Flaherty, considering they're, the two sort of cornerstones of your pitching staff. But maybe Eric Fedde of the White Sox we talked about. How about Yusei Kikuchi of the Blue Jays?
Yeah, he's a name that I've seen floated by Twins reporters as potentially being somebody that the Twins might look to target. Wouldn't necessarily hate it. He hasn't had the smoothest season up there in our friend in the north of the border, but I mean, a veteran presence, veteran arm that could easily help any team. And I think the Blue Jays are going about this the right way, trying to focus a little bit more on guys with expiring contracts, instead of guys who could still be a part of this team for the long haul, with what I can only presume to be a new manager come next season.
Yeah, that would be my guess. So that's kind of an interesting situation for the Mets. Whether or not I think if they decide that they are currently occupying the third wildcard spot in the National League. So I think you pretty much have to go out and get somebody, especially knowing that Kodai Senga is done at least for the regular season, maybe longer. So we've talked about we've talked about most of these. So then there's the Athletics just got this list of the best players that are still available. Most of them we've already talked about: Scuba, Crochet, Flaherty, Snell. Fairbanks. Luis Barry Jr., Yandy Diaz. Carson, one player we haven't talked about who, I can't picture a scenario in which he doesn't get moved. Mr. Brent Rooker.
I've seen reports of the A's are reluctant to trade him, which,
but why? You're not going to be competitive anytime soon.
No, you're not. But I feel like there's a little bit more going into this than just the baseball side of things. I feel like you're going to be moving to Sacramento for the next few years. You're going to want a guy that the fans will recognize, and
that's fair.
So I think there's a little bit more to this than just a baseball side of things.
It makes sense. They're going to need all the help they can get as they go on this, bizarre, oh, hey, we're going to be playing in Sacramento for the next 3 years, in a AAA park, where we're going to have to play most of our games at night because it's so hot. Yeah. I guess that does make sense. You're going to need all the help you can get, if you're the A's. And, let's see, any other interesting names on this list? Mm, yeah, there's so much to unpack here. Yeah, I've heard Ryan Mountcastle, but he's under. I mean, the Orioles have him under team control through 2026. I don't see that happening.
Especially considering he's still a pretty big part of that team.
Yeah, and I've heard, and I've also heard talk about Cedric Mullins, but I don't know. Like that doesn't seem likely. Let's see. Any other? So some of the rumors, the White Sox are more likely to move Eric Fetty and Michael Kopech than Luis Rivera Jr. and Garrett Crochet. Okay, that's interesting. 2 NL Central teams are pushing for Fetty. Major League sources tell the Athletics, Ken Rosenthal, one is the Brewers and the other is the Cardinals. I like Eric Fetty to the Brewers, Carson.
Yeah, that'd be a real good move. Absolutely.
That would be a nice move. Giants are shopping Blake Snell, Michael Conforto, Mike Yastrzemski, and Wilmer Flores. Okay. And the Angels, the Marlins are close to moving Tanner Scott and are listening to teams who are interested in first baseman Josh Bell. Craig Breslow, if you happen to be listening, can we swing a deal for both of those guys? That would be nice. Orioles want to add a reliever, preferably left-handed, and a right-handed hitting outfielder to replace Austin Hayes. Yeah, that's not a surprise. The Cubs are expected to trade right-handed starter Jameson Taillon. That would be interesting. The Astros, Yankees, and Padres are among the teams that have shown interest. The Royals are targeting one of 3 right-handed bats: Lane Thomas, Taylor Ward, or Luis Rengifo. Okay. Trade for another reliever is also possible. This is the Dodgers are everywhere in the market trying to add pitching and another outfield bat. Yeah, that about sums it up. Nationals continue to listen on closer Kyle Finnegan. We talked about reliever Dylan Floro, who we did not talk about. The Braves are still trying to acquire another outfielder, starting pitcher. Yeah, good luck with that. I'm sorry, but I don't care what the Braves do. The Braves aren't going anywhere this year.
Yeah, absolutely not.
No, yeah. You're down 3 of your best, arguably your 3 best players. And Carson, your Twins are trying to add a veteran starting pitcher.
Enter Yusei Kikuchi, more than likely, is what it sounds like.
I really like the sound of Yusei Kikuchi to the Twins. Yeah.
Yes. I don't hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. All right. I think that pretty much does it for now. Anyways, for trade rumors. A lot. I feel like a lot's happened already. Even though the deadline's still a couple of days away, but Carson, I think it's probably a safe bet to say that we haven't seen anything yet.
No.
There's still quite a few big names, as we just kind of went through. There's still some big names. Some are definitely on the market. Some could be on the market. Some are probably not on the market, but there are still, no matter where they are in terms of likelihood of being moved. There are still some big names floating around out there. There's still some teams. Obviously, there are still teams that have some holes to fill. This is gonna get wild. It's gonna get wild. It's gonna get crazy. Obviously, we'll have you guys covered. But I think that's pretty much. Let's see. Let's just make sure we're not missing anything. Wow. There's so much. There's so much to unpack. I would encourage you guys to, if you haven't already, to subscribe to The Athletic. It's like $2 a month. Because I'm looking at their front page now, and it's well, obviously, it's pretty much all trade deadline stuff. But Carson, I would make the argument that the Athletic, probably, well, aside from us, obviously, pretty much they basically have the best MLB coverage.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got it covered. Actually, they have what they're calling the trade deadline big board, MLB trade deadline big board, the top 50 players who could be dealt. They've got them ranked, and possible landing spots. So this is pretty cool. I would definitely check this out if I were you guys. Wow, this is actually, all right. Oh, and they've even got the likelihood of being dealt. Okay. So good news, Tigers fans. Tarek Skubal is at the top of their list of the top 50 players who could be moved. And likelihood of being dealt, they've got green, yellow, and red in terms of likelihood. And Tarek Skubal is yellow. So I guess that's good news. Oh, and good news for Rays fans too. Isaac Paredes, likelihood of being dealt, red. Okay. Well, there you go. So I think that's pretty much it for trade deadline stuff for now. Obviously, the deadline is Tuesday. And we'll have you guys all taken care of, all covered, as all the craziness goes down. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's play some buy or sell. Carson, buy or sell. The Padres are more likely than the D-backs to make the playoffs.
Oh, interesting on this one, because right now there is only a game that separates these two teams. Both of them are extremely hot. But right now I'm gonna buy it. I do think that there's a good I do think that there's a good shot that the Padres are more likely. I like what they've done so far in terms of already, obviously they already have Luis Arraez, but going out and strengthening their bullpen with Jason Adam, I don't think that they're necessarily a team that potentially could be done either. So right now I'm going to buy this.
Come on. You all know how I'm going to answer this. I'm selling this. I'm driving the D-backs bandwagon. I've been driving it since last year. You're getting Merrill Kelly back. You're getting Jordan Montgomery back. You're getting Eduardo Rodriguez back. You just went out and got, for me, one of the best relievers on the market. You just went out and got AJ Puck. You're healthy. You won 4 in a row. You won 7 out of your last 10. Since this is buy or sell and we have to pick one or the other, I'm selling that the Padres are more likely. But Carson, I think ultimately, both of these teams get into the dance.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I think both of these teams, maybe more so maybe with the slightest of edges to the Padres, I think both of these teams have the opportunity to give the Dodgers a run for their money in the NL West too. The Dodgers are only 6.5 games up. That's not a lot.
Not at all.
That's not as, I feel like the last few years, the Dodgers have just ran away with the NL West. and that's not the case this year. So, yeah, I think that NL West race could get really crazy here, as we gear up for the stretch run. All right. Buy or sell, the Yankees are the AL East team under the most deadline pressure. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sell this because I think it's the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they're under pressure to make a decision on Vladdy, especially. And I know that teams are going to come calling. And I think they're facing pressure not only in terms of facing pressure because John Schneider's job is very much on the line. I feel like this season, but
Yeah.
I feel like they're under pressure because there is such an interesting market to see what they potentially could get. I feel like they're facing pressure from the fan base. I feel like the front office just has pressure on its own to try and find the best deal. So I'm gonna say that I'm gonna sell this because I truly think that it's the Toronto Blue Jays in their quest to sell.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of insight you can only get from my illustrious co-host, because most people would look at this and go, "Oh, yeah, of course it's the Yankees because they're under pressure to win." But he took it and spun it around from the perspective of the Blue Jays, of the pressure they're facing, because the Blue Jays are bad. They're having a bad season. Yeah, no, that's I'll be honest with you, that didn't even cross my mind. I don't know, man. The Yankees are under a lot of pressure because, well, they're the Yankees. They play in New York. They play for the most, probably the most demanding fan base. Yankees fans expect their team to win the World Series every year. The Yankees should have high expectations. They're the Yankees. I don't know. I'm going to sell this too. I think the Baltimore Orioles are under the most pressure. You've got the highest ranked, deepest farm system in baseball. You're coming off a season in which you won 100 games and made and went to the playoffs and made a little bit of run, but you came up short. And I think the Orioles are under deadline pressure because, they've already made some moves, but I think they've got more moves to make. And I think if you're the Orioles, you've got to make the right moves at the deadline, and you've got to, people are talk about sky high expectations. Orioles fans have got to have sky high expectations for this team after what they did last year. They are under so much pressure to build on what they did last year, and the first step to doing that is making the right moves at the deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. I think certainly the Orioles also have a lot of pressure at this deadline to make good on their run from last season, and
yep.
They certainly went out and got Seranthony Dominguez, Christian Pache, who is an underrated part of that trade, also a guy who was once a top prospect. So they're off to a good start, but I still think that there's a lot of pressure to replicate what they did last year, not only at the deadline, but in the postseason. So I still think they need some help.
Yeah, they definitely do. But yeah, they're off to a good start. All right. So Robbie Ray is back for the Giants. So buy or sell that Robbie Ray will get the Giants to the playoffs.
I'm gonna go ahead and sell this. Robbie Ray is great, but I think the Giants have already kind of dug themselves into a little bit of a hole. Now, granted, they are still only 4.5 games out of the wild card spot. They've won their last 3, but they're still 5-5 in their last 10.
Mm-hmm.
The inconsistencies got to get better. And I don't know if solely the return of Robbie Ray is going to help that. And Blake Snell needs to start pitching like Blake Snell too.
Yeah.
as he started to in his last appearance, obviously. But so I'm gonna go ahead and sell this.
Yeah, I think I gotta sell this too. I don't. Yeah, Robbie Ray is great, but if any one player is gonna have enough of an impact to get the, yeah, actually, I take that back. I don't think there's one player on the Giants that's capable of getting them, because as a team they have woefully underperformed this year. Yeah, I know they've dealt with a lot of injuries. They've had some big injury problems. Obviously, Blake Snell and Robbie Ray, and some position players. They've definitely had their fair share of injury issues, but yeah, they've been wildly inconsistent on both sides of the ball all year. And I love me some Robbie Ray, but I don't think he's enough on his own. And actually, right now, if we were, doing like the whether teams are in or out of the playoffs, if we were channeling our inner Joe Lunardi, Carson, I would have the Giants as one of my teams that are out.
Yeah, I would right now too.
As things stand right now. Of course, we don't, they might make some, some moves here and turn things around. They've still got, there's still time, but as things currently sit, no. I think the Giants are out. Bad news for baseball fans. So Mike Trout left his first, man, this just sucks. Left his first minor league rehab start with knee soreness. The MRI did come back clean, but there's no timetable for his return. So Carson, buy or sell that Mike Trout has played his last game.
Sell. I cannot fathom this reality that this might even be remotely possible. I mean, obviously it's very cloudy, especially with no timetable for his return. But I can't believe I don't know if it's just my heart being stupid, not wanting to believe that Mike Trout played his last game, but I really don't think he has. Which, speaking of Angels, move this guy, let him play playoff baseball, since you clearly do not care about putting a good team around him.
Yeah, even though Mike Trout said that he doesn't want to go anywhere.
Even though he said he doesn't want to go anywhere, because at some point, like at some point, you gotta. I understand the loyalty and everything, and again, we've talked about it multiple times how much I respect that, especially in the modern game. It's very much a dying breed, but at the end of the day, man, come on, like this guy's too good not to be playing in playoff baseball, and the fact that the Angels have just wasted the prime of one of the best players of our era of baseball is ridiculous. They've barely made any efforts to put any sort of a good team around him. Like, Anthony Rendon was going to be heralded, and everybody's like, oh boy, here we go. The Angels are finally going to do something. And then Anthony Rendon turns into an injury-riddled mess and says, I think the season should be shorter. I don't really care about baseball. Blah, blah, blah. Like, my God, Shohei Ohtani did the right thing. He got out.
Yes, he did.
He left. Yep. Good job, Shohei.
I was just gonna say that Shohei Ohtani was smart. He got out while the getting was good after wasting a bunch of years in Anaheim. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm buying this under protest, but it doesn't look good, and I do not particularly want to live in a world where Mike Trout is no longer playing baseball. He hasn't played since April. He's 33 years old, which is not exactly young in baseball years. And the fact Sure, it's encouraging that the MRI came back clean, but the fact that Carson, the words "no timetable for return" generally don't bode well.
Yeah, that doesn't usually mean good.
Especially when a player reaches a certain age.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be true. I want to see Mike Trout be healthy. I want to see him come back and play baseball again. I'd love to see him, do what Shohei Ohtani did and go, all right, enough of this crap. I'm out. I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to go play somewhere where I've actually got a chance to win. I would love to see all that happen. I don't know. There's too much uncertainty for me, and I don't want this to be true, but I don't know. I've got a sinking feeling. No timetable for return those are not words you want to hear. Especially involving a knee injury, and especially involving somebody, when it happens to somebody who's, especially when it happens to a player that's, on the far side of 30. So we'll see though. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong about this. But we'll see. All right, time for the mailbag. Don't forget, you guys can drop us a line at 8inningstrats@gmail.com or at 8inningpod.com/mailbag, and we might read your message on an upcoming episode. We start with Dominic V. News about Christian Yelich and a back injury. Still waiting to hear more on that. But if in fact Christian Yelich is going to be out for any stretch of time, Dominic would like to know, how far do you think the Brewers can go without Christian Yelich?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Dominic has a very fair reason to be concerned. Christian Yelich has had quite the season for the Milwaukee Brewers, but I don't know. I understand wanting to hit the 5-alarm fire, Dominic, but I think the Brewers will be okay as long as he gets back, by come playoff time. And again, that's probably a big if at this point, but if they go into the playoffs without, trying to kind of predict of if they go into the playoffs without Christian Yelich, if the season were to end today, yada yada, they would be going into the wild card, obviously, as the number 3 seed. And kind of looking at the standings, again, there's a lot of teams that are within a few games of each other, but there's some scary matchups there. So if they do not have Christian Yelich, if they lose Christian Yelich, I would say they could potentially win the wild card, get to the NLDS, but getting to the NLCS might be a stretch.
Yeah, they're not going to go far without him. So I actually just read this article, just looking at this article. So it doesn't, at this point, it doesn't sound like, so Yelich is going to attempt rest and rehab for now. Possibly looking at back surgery this offseason. But man, this back thing has been a problem for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's went on the IL due to back issues in 2014, 2015, 2021, and now here again in 2024. It's been a nagging thing for him. But it seems like for now he's going to avoid surgery. He's on the 10-day IL now. It seems like this is kind of a wait and see for Yelich and the Brewers. But yeah, if they don't, even a not 100% Christian Yelich, like some Christian Yelich is better than no Christian Yelich at all. Yeah, without Christian Yelich, yeah, I don't see the Brewers, like Carson said, I don't see the Brewers going very far. He's such a big piece for them. But who knows? I mean, hopefully he'll be okay. and he'll, hopefully he'll be okay, and he'll come back, and he'll be fine, and the Brewers will, keep on going, and keep on playing as well as they have this year. So, and make a deep run into October for all you Brewers fans. Haley F, do you guys think the MLB Network move is a step forward toward fixing baseball's TV mess? So what Haley is referring to, in case you guys missed it, MLB Network announced that it's going to be available as a standalone streaming thing for fans everywhere for $5.99 a month, which is friggin' awesome. Because people without cable or satellite or like the streaming, like the UTV and stuff like that, who don't have access to MLB Network, will now have access to it and all their programming and out of market games. Yeah, I think this is a huge step in the right direction towards fixing this mess.
I'm gonna disagree slightly. While I see where Haley is coming from on this, the main problem with TV's baseball mess right now is the regional sports networks. It doesn't really have anything to do with MLB Network. Now again, I think this is a good step overall in just giving fans access to MLB Network, continuing to kind of grow the game that way. Streaming is obviously kind of the way of the future. So having
present
and the present, I suppose you're right. But so having it kind of be its standalone streaming service instead of just being on TV is a good thing. But while I see where Haley's coming from here, it doesn't really do anything to fix the mess, because it's more so about the regional sports networks.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing that needs to get fixed, not MLB Network. And again, while I think it's a good thing, I don't really understand how MLB is putting their resources into MLB Network instead of putting their resources into trying to pressure these networks into, like with obviously Bally and Diamond Sports has been a huge topic of conversation for really an entire year, just about.
Seems like it's been longer.
Yeah, exactly. Put your resources into pressuring these guys to make it work with these TV companies to get their product back on the air, because at the end of the day, there are still a lot of people who are not able to watch their favorite team, myself included.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this is it is definitely a step in the right direction, because obviously MLB Network carries they obviously, they carry actually MLB Network. I don't know how many people realize this, but MLB Network carries a pretty sizable slate of out of market games. But yeah, like Carson said, it doesn't solve the problem of the regional sports networks and fans not being able to watch out of market games. Sure, there's MLB TV, but there's still blackout issues with MLB TV, which is obviously not ideal, because people can't even subscribe to that, because you can't watch your own team on MLB TV because of the blackout stuff, which is ridiculous. Yeah, man, I think we've talked about this before. I think the NHL. I think MLB just needs to put up or shut up, and they need to do what, for all their faults, one thing the NFL has done right is nationalize their TV rights. MLB needs to do the same thing. You've already got the platform in place. You've already got MLB TV. MLB TV is damn near perfect, except for the fact that fans can't watch their own team's games because of the blackout restrictions. Nationalize the TV rights, get rid of the blackouts, and there you go. Problem solved.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's easier said than done, obviously, because there were financial and legal issues and everything else. But That's what needs to happen. But I do like the MLB Network move because I know quite a few people who have expressed frustration over, hey, I can't get MLB Network, on my current platform, whatever it might be, and now you can. So definitely, I do like that move. Jerry D wants to know, how many stolen bases and home runs do you think Ellie De La Cruz will finish the season with?
I mean, he's not necessarily going to get to the Ronald Acuna number, I don't think, but I can certainly see him getting close. Obviously, he is a speed demon. He can hit the crap out of the ball, as we all know. Let me see. I gotta pull up his stats first and foremost.
He's got
to get
18 home runs and 52 stolen bases, it looks like.
Well, look at that. Real-time research, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Printer Dudes. Okay. I could see him at this point in the season, trying to do a little bit of math. I could see him probably getting, I'll
30-60.
I'll say a 30-60. That's kind of where I was thinking, was like a 30-60 club, or maybe a 30-65, something along those lines.
I mean, yeah, with the rate he's been stealing stolen bases at, 52 stolen bases, only caught stealing 9 times. Okay, that's ridiculous. Wow, that's insane. Yeah, 18 home runs. Okay, let's say there's 50-ish games left in the regular season. 52 stolen bases. Yeah, I would say, 40-60. Not 40-60. I'm sorry, 30-60. Maybe 35 home runs. I mean, unless he goes on an absolute tear. Yeah, I'll play it safe. I'll play it safe and say 30-60. Man, I really thought we were going to see a 40-70 out of him this year.
Mm-hmm.
I really, in fact, I think I talked about that way back at the beginning of the season, where I boldly proclaimed that Ellie De La Cruz was going to be, 40-70 or because that's what Acuna did last year, right? 40-70.
Right.
Yeah. I thought Ellie De La Cruz could have been at least a 40-70. I mean, he's what, 22 years old? I mean, he's got plenty of time to do it. I think obviously not this year, but I think at some point, probably within the next couple of years, I think we could see Ellie De La Cruz do I think we could see a 50-100. I really do. He's got the power and he's got the speed. But I mean, 30-60 is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
30-60 is that's a pretty damn good year. All right, last but not least, Bree R wants to know, which managers are most likely to be fired before next season?
Goodbye, John Schneider.
Yep.
I think that's the obvious one. AJ, how does Bud Black still have a job?
Because
I'm not one to call for somebody's job, but how does he still have a job?
Because nobody gives a crap about the Rockies, and nobody paid. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. Very few people here in Colorado and the Denver area, most of them have forgotten that they have a baseball team at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Skip Schumacher down in Miami has a good chance of probably losing his job.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the top 3 that come in my mind, but John Schneider is a no doubter.
Oliver Marmol maybe.
Maybe I don't know about Oliver. I think maybe he could get to ride it out for another year.
Yeah, I guess that depends on what happens with the Cardinals the rest of the year in the playoffs. Um, I hate to I hate to say it because I don't think I don't think what's happened there is his fault. Pedro Griffol in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, and I none of what's happened in Chicago this year is his fault. But I don't see how you have the year that they've had and not make a change,
Yeah.
even though it's not the manager's fault. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think a lot of managers that are going to get fired before next season, at the risk of stating the obvious, I think a lot of it has to do what happens for the rest of the season and into the playoffs. Um, if the Dodgers pull a Dodgers again this October, Carson, bye Dave Roberts.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by
I
that.
think you have, if you're the Dodgers and you come up short again, especially after going out and getting Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto this offseason, I think you have to.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
And I think on the other, if you're the Yankees and you come up short again, I think you have to reevaluate Aaron Boone too.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too.
And as much as it pains me to say this, if the Mariners don't get where they want to go this year, I think you've got to start looking at Scott Service. I Mariners fans, it makes me physically, I'm not even kidding. My stomach is churning just saying those words, but I mean, especially with the moves they've made so far, going out and get Randy Rosarena and Yimi Garcia and probably another bat. I think I think you're all out of. I think if these, well, I wouldn't say okay. Let me rephrase that. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's World Series or bust for Scott Service and the Mariners this year, but if they don't at least, I think if they at least don't, I think if you're Scott Service, you've at least got to get the Mariners, at least have to get them to the ALCS. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of any other managers that are. I think that's pretty much it. I think everyone else is pretty much. I mean, we'll probably see a change in Oakland with all the stuff going on there.
Yep.
I think that's, because they're probably going to want a fresh start with the move, to Sacramento and then the move to Vegas in a few years. Kevin Cash in Tampa.
No, I don't think they're going to
think so.
No.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he's done a pretty good job, I guess. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else. Great question, Bree. And we do, ladies and gentlemen, we have one bonus question that is not here. Because it is Olympic season. We have. Oh, sorry, I closed my window. Whoops, my bad. Shit, where is it? No. Sorry, everybody. There we go. In honor of Olympic season, Zoe B would like to know, Carson, what is our favorite Olympic event?
I suppose we're keeping this to the Summer Olympics.
You know what? Let's have a little fun with this. Let's do one summer and one winter. Well,
I mean,
I suspect I already know your answer for winter.
hockey, absolutely. Like,
Oh,
goated Olympic sport.
I was gonna say figure skating, but
um,
whoa, time out. No disrespect to figure skating or figure skaters. That was
yeah. No disrespect to
no,
the art of figure skating, because it is an art.
that's not my particular brand of vodka. That's all.
Yeah. Summer.
Summer's tough because there's a lot.
Summer's tough. There's a lot of good ones. I'm gonna say beach volleyball.
Nice.
I love
Talk
me some
about
beach
talk
volleyball.
about athletes.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know how many of you have watched either beach volleyball or regular like indoor volleyball. Yeah, those are some ridiculous athletes. I mean, let's be honest. If you're in the Olympics, you're a ridiculous athlete to begin with. But, jeez, winter. Yeah, I mean, hockey is such a. I mean, yeah, hockey's awesome. Obviously, you know what? When Winter Olympics roll around, man, I gotta be honest with y'all. I love me some curling.
Oh,
Curling is a lot of fun. It might not be the most exciting thing to watch. I'll be honest. It's not exactly fast paced, but yeah, curling is pretty cool. Summer, man, there's so many.
I mean, we'll have you on the beach volleyball bandwagon over here.
I do love me some beach volleyball. I do like volleyball in the Olympics.
I mean, not to mention some of the games that I remember watching were with and I will say this with 100% certainty, the greatest beach volleyball team of all time of Carrie Walsh Jennings and Misty May
Trainer. Yeah. Goats.
The greatest of all time.
Yeah, hands down. Oh man, there's just so many. Summer Olympics is ridiculous. There's just so many sports. I mean, there's swimming and fencing and volleyball, taekwondo. Oh man. You know what? I think I love me some handball.
Ooh, I do love me some handball.
Folks, if you've never had the chance to watch handball or haven't watched it in any of like the previous Olympic Games, seriously, do yourself a favor. Not to plug whatever, but Peacock. If you have Peacock, you can watch all the live and replay events. Do yourself a favor and tune into some handball. It's not big here in the States. It's actually not really big in North America at all. It's mostly Europe. It's mostly Europe, some South America. It's fast paced, it's physical. It's basically, I would describe handball as the ultimate combination of, it's a little bit basketball, and it's basically a combination between basketball and soccer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Like, so it's played on a court. There's two nets. It's obviously, handball. So there's no kicking or anything. It's all with the hands, but it's physical. It's high scoring. Games typically reach, teams score, upwards of 30, 20, 25, 30 points. It's a lot of fun. I was introduced to it 12 years ago at the 2012 games in London, and holy crap. The first time I saw it, I was like, why are we not playing this in the US? Apparently they do, but it's never quite caught on here. So thank you for that, Europe. But yeah, I would say handball and curling. The Olympics are just awesome. I love me some Olympics. I'm so glad the Olympics are back. But yeah. Anyways, Yeah, so everybody, thanks for your mailbag messages. Don't forget, you can drop us a line, eighth-inning-stretch@gmail.com or eighth-inningpod.com/mailbag. And we might read your message on an upcoming episode. Real quick, let's do some must-watch games real quick. What have we got going on here on the radar? Well, I mean, for one, we've got Mariners and Red Sox coming up. That's big, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yankees Phillies starts tomorrow.
Yankees Phillies starts tomorrow. That's going to be good. Let's see. What else have we got? Cubs Reds. That's probably going to be a good watch. Oh, well, here we go. We're just talking about these two teams. Dodgers and Padres in San Diego.
Hello.
Which starts Tuesday, apparently. And then beyond that, Dodgers Padres, that's a big one. Starting Thursday, Orioles and Guardians in Cleveland.
Come on, Baltimore.
What, do you not like the Guardians or something? What have you? I'm just gonna throw this out there. Possible ALCS preview.
Ooh,
I could see that. I could see those teams being the last two standing in the American League. Here in a couple months. But the question everybody wants to know the answer to, Carson, is: do we have a tankathon?
You bet we do. We are heading to, unfortunately, once again, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim as they welcome the team that, as my illustrious co-host so put it, most people in Colorado forget even exists in the Colorado Rockies. So if you want to watch a series between a team that most people forget exists and who I think shouldn't exist because of what they did to Mike Trout, go watch that series.
That is, oh man. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Wow. That I don't even know if that's usually the tankathon is like, okay, well, I don't know. I was gonna say I don't even know if that's I might even go as far as to call that unwatchable, but the Rockies do have some, well, for now, for the time being anyways, the Rockies do have some really exciting young players, not the least of which is Ezekiel Tovar.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to see play a couple times here in Denver. I mean, he's a Rocky for now. We'll see, but yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. One last thing, I was originally planning on talking about I'm still going to talk about it, but I was originally planning on talking about the 20th anniversary, just recently, of the infamous brawl between the Red Sox and Yankees in 2004, in July of 2004. Veritek and A-Rod, Bronson Arroyo plunks A-Rod. A-Rod does an A-Rod and gets all pissed and then gets a face full of Jason Veritek's catcher's mitt. Red Sox came back and won the game in dramatic fashion. Bill Miller walk-off home run. And it was essentially, I mean, it not essentially, it was the turning point of that 2004 season. And that was the game where me and all my fellow Red Sox fans went, this realized, okay, this Red Sox team is different. Of course, the two teams would go on to meet in the 2004 ALCS. Yankees went up 3-0, and the rest is history. I was going to talk about that because it is the 20th anniversary of it, which, holy crap, that makes me feel old. I can't believe it's been 20 years. But I actually ended up writing about that on this week's Two Strike Count, which, over the way, you guys can check out at eighth inning pod/2strike count, eighth-inningpod.com/2strike count, and subscribe for free and get it delivered to your inbox. So I was gonna do a whole thing on that, but then we've talked about it a couple times, and obviously TV, the airwaves right now are dominated by the Olympics over there in Paris. We talked a little bit about the opening ceremony, and I just really wanted to, in watching the opening ceremony and watching the some of the events so far, I just have to say how awesome and how exciting it is that the Olympics have gotten back to normal. There are fans in the stands again. There are crowds. There's cheering. And just, after the last two Olympics, the ones in Tokyo in 2021 and the ones in Beijing in 2022 with COVID and everything going on and COVID restrictions and no spectators. Let's be honest, the 2022 Winter Games in Beijing looked like something out of a freaking zombie movie. And all the the human rights stuff, violations and stuff going on with the Chinese government at the time too, that didn't help. But it's really, I don't remember what I was watching last night, but it's so awesome to see fans back in the stands, to see the crowds back, to see fans and crowds, on the streets of Paris, there to celebrate, there to cheer on their country, and there to cheer on the athletes and soak up the experience and have fun. It's so awesome. It really does. It really makes me so happy and really just makes me smile to see the Olympics back to, let's be honest, to see them back to where they should be. Back to normal, back to being open. And it in a weird sort of way, it gives me hope for the rest of the world. It gives me hope for for things outside of sports that, okay, let's be honest, everybody. The last few years we have collectively been through a lot. We've been through a pandemic. We've been through political turmoil. We've been through. We're still going through wars, unfortunately. But when something like the Olympics comes along, and especially now that there's no more COVID, no more restrictions, the fans and the crowds are back. The athletes are back to normal and back to being able to compete and hang out with each other and share time together. It gives me hope for everything else, that we've been through a lot. We're still going through some stuff. But probably for the first time in, I was going to say the first time in a few years, but it feels like the first time in a very long time, that despite everything we've been through and everything we're still dealing with, I feel like we're going to be okay.
Yeah, well said. And obviously it's good to see fans back in the stands and at the events and everything for the Olympics, because that's one of those things that it doesn't feel right without people there.
Nope.
For my one last thing, as to paraphrase, I don't remember where this comes from, but and now for something completely different.
Whoa! You don't remember where that comes from?
I got to be honest, no.
Monty Python, man.
Oh, of course.
Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Of course.
So disappointed.
That's
and
valid.
now for something completely, that was like their like any the way they would like cut away to a new sketch.
Yeah, that's valid to be disappointed in me for that one. But anywho, and now for something completely different. Now again, for those of you who don't want to hear a non-baseball related one last thing.
Oh man, they're getting two non-baseball related one last things. Oh,
yeah,
geez.
you can
Here
turn
come
it off
the
now, but
here come the angry emails.
here they come. But let's talk some things going on in the hockey world, shall we?
Oh yes, let's.
How shall we?
Yes, let's.
So in order to fully understand my pure rage towards the Edmonton Oilers currently,
Ugh.
one must have a backstory to this. So for those of you who may not follow hockey or who may have been sleeping underneath a sheet of ice, there was a little scandal, and by little I mean massive scandal involving the Chicago Blackhawks organization a few years back, where it came out that basically a player on that team, later revealed to be Kyle Beach, was being, well, let's just call it what it is. He was being sexually assaulted by the team's videographer, Cole Aldrich. And it came out that the GM of the team at that time, one Stan Bowman, as well as the head coach Joel Quenneville, knew about this, did not do anything about it, and just kind of let it live and let live. Quenneville and Bowman, upon the results of the investigation, were basically suspended from the NHL. Bowman left his position as GM of the Blackhawks. Quenneville left his position of head coach of the Florida Panthers at that time. Recently, in a move that blew, I think, collective hockey fans' minds, Gary Bettman, in all of his esteemed wisdom, that was incredibly sarcastic, by the way. That man's dumber than rocks. He decided to, yeah, and that's an
insult to the Rocks.
He decided to reinstate them and have them be able to get jobs in the league again, which is a whole other issue in and of itself. Like, what are we doing here? Like, great, let's continue to build a great hockey culture by letting these two dudes in who knew about this horrendous thing that happened into the game again. But then the Edmonton Oilers, very quickly after that, announced that they were hiring Stan Bowman as their general manager. Which, from a hockey perspective, by the way, Bowman sucks. Lost 3 different trades involving the same player in Brandon Saad, but I just don't understand how, like, the NHL preaches about hockey is for everyone, and then they go and do something like this, reinstating these two guys, banning Pride tape for warm-ups and things of that nature. I don't understand it. You want to preach about how hockey is for everyone, and then you continue to make these stupid decisions to make hockey seem like an old boys club, and not really open the game up to anyone. And keeping these guys in the game is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how they were able to come to that decision. Edmonton, I don't know what you're doing thinking that you can hire this guy without any blowback or anything happening. It's just another incident in the NHL that is just incredibly, incredibly stupid. And to quote Stephen A. Smith, ass a 9, ass a 10, ass a 11, ass a 12. I mean, at this point, Gary Bettman has basically cemented himself for me as the worst commissioner in sports. And a big old fuck you to Mr. for allowing these guys back into the game after what they did to poor Kyle Beach. And how does Kyle Beach feel after seeing that decision? How does Kyle Beach feel that the courage that it took for him to even come forward and reveal himself, because he was anonymous to start this whole investigation, if you all remember. He came forward and basically said, yeah, hi, it was me. And for him to have to sit there and see that the two people who kept quiet about the worst moments in his life are back in the game that he loved is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that these guys are back in the game that all of hockey fans love is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that Bowman's already got a job makes me want to puke. And just a big old I'm flipping the bird to Gary here right now, and that's not even doing it justice. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand how the hypocrisy is just on another level, and a big old fuck you to Mr. Gary Bettman.
Yeah, I honestly I saw the news about Bowman, the other day before yesterday, whatever day it was, and I just stared at my screen in disbelief. Yeah, I don't, and I think maybe even, well, I don't know about worse, but maybe an even more fucked up part about this whole thing, people are actually defending Stan Bowman. Oh, well, he's a good general manager. I don't care if he's the best general manager there is. Like, he, and I've seen, oh, well, everyone deserves a second chance. No, fuck that. Not everybody deserves a second chance. There are some people that are just straight up irredeemable, and Stan Bowman and Joe Quenneville are two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like you said, I can't even imagine what Kyle Beach is going through right now. I even saw somebody, I don't know if it's true or not, but I even saw somebody posted something that Bowman was in contact, like Bowman and Kyle Beach have been in contact since all this happened. I don't know if that's true or not, but I tend to lean towards calling bullshit on that. Why would Kyle Beach have any contact with someone who enabled his abuse?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, yeah, Gary Bettman, you're a piece of shit. Stan Bowman, also a piece of shit. Joe Quenneville, also a piece of shit. And anyone, I'm sorry, like I normally don't like to, go scorched earth, but anyone defending this move, or defending making a pathetic attempt to defend Bowman or Quenneville or any of these assholes, you're all pieces of shit too. And like, y'all can fuck all the way off. Yeah, man. I don't get it. I really don't. But anyways, oh, and also fuck the Edmonton Oilers, because we didn't need another reason to hate the Oilers after they went and got Evander Kane, the biggest piece of shit in the NHL, player wise. That wasn't bad enough. Now they've doubled down.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, it's a screwed up situation all around, and I really just don't get it. I don't know, but that's, yeah, I don't know, man. I really I don't understand. But hey, that's the apparently that's the world we live in now. So yeah. But anyways, so go ahead, everybody, send your angry emails that are too non-baseball related. What last things? And those angry emails will be promptly ignored and deleted. Because sometimes Carson, like we've said it once. If we've said it once, we've said it a million times. Sometimes there are things that are bigger than baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be irresponsible of us to not use our this platform that we've built talk about that stuff. So anyways, that's all we got for you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in as always. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 8th Inning Pod. And for more, including our newsletter blog, 2 Strike Count, in our original documentary series, The Book of Baseball, head to 8thinningpod.com. No, we haven't forgotten the new episode of Book of Baseball. It is coming soon. Just stay tuned, hang tight for that. And help us continue making the best indie baseball content this side of home plate by supporting the show, either using the QR code on your screen or at 8thinningpod.com/donate. If you're watching this or listening to this on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. So the trade deadline is Tuesday. However, Carson, we will not be with you guys. We're off this coming Sunday. Taking a little trip up to the mountains with the girlfriend. So a little R&R, a little getaway. So we will not be with you. We will not have a show for you this coming Sunday. We will be back the following week, and don't worry, we will have all the reactions, all the hot takes, all the breakdown, everything for everything trade deadline related. And as we, believe it or not, as we roll into August, and get ready for the last couple months of the season for the stretch run. But in the meantime, like we like to say, please remember to take care of yourselves, take care of your physical health, take care of your mental health, which is just as important, and take care of each other.